First at 5:07. Very good afternoon to you. Now, a Lancashire company which makes electronic cigarettes is challenging the European law on tobacco products. Totally Wicked, which is based in Blackburn, says one part of the law would require companies which make e-cigarettes to comply with rules that are stricter than those for tobacco products. Fraser Cropper is Managing Director of Totally Wicked, and he joins me in the studio. Fraser, welcome to the programme.
Hello, Gary.
What exactly will the EU directive mean for your company then?
Well, it's very difficult to understand exactly what it will mean, but we know what the intent is. The intent is to significantly reduce the range of products which are available, place some very, very unnecessary burdensome requirements upon reporting and testing, which don't actually address the core needs that the EU, we believe, should be addressing, which is trying to make sure that, of course, customers are protected, they are well informed, and that the products are safe and available in the right places to the right people. It doesn't achieve that at all. Quite the contrary. It places our type of products at a significant disadvantage to tobacco products, which we all know are significantly more dangerous than e-cigarettes.
So, are we looking at the argument here of equality for another product or a similar product?
Well, as a minimum standard, surely there should be equality. There is enough evidence now. We're beyond the dark days of 2008 when people were cogitating about what the problem was with e-cigarettes. There's significant research, compelling research, that proves these are many, many times, hundreds of times, thousands of times safer than conventional cigarettes. So the question is, why do we not have regulation that reflects the value that these products are bringing? There's 2.5 million users in the UK who have independently decided it's the right product for themselves. There's significant empirical data that shows they are safer and people's health have improved as a consequence.
People still argue against that, of course, in certain quarters.
Well, some do. I think there's strong evidence to refute that, and I think there's a lot of misinformation which has potentially agenda. So all I'm asking for is that the EU should be, and I think this is justified, should be reflecting the product in its context and make sure that it is not disadvantaged against the product that potentially is trying to offer alternative to.
And that's all you're asking for at this stage?
It is. It's that basic premise, which is, why should our product be placed under greater regulatory control and constraint than a product that has killed many, many hundreds of thousands of people and continues to do so?
And how do you feel personally about the company that, it's built up? You're expanding your company, I believe, very soon as well. I mean, is this a lot of pressure right now? Well,
it's pressure, but it's also living this kind of bipolar business relationship with myself and the company, which is, I have a long-term plan for the business. We're a good business. We invest. We're ethical. We employ 150 people in Lancashire. I'm investing £1.4 million in a new fluid production facility. I'm doing that with this sword of Damocles hanging over the company, an illegitimate sword of Damocles. There's nothing that should prejudice us continuing to be a viable business. But I've got this regulation which is attempting to do so.
I mean, people listening, whether they're for e-cigarettes or not, or anti-smoking, whatever, they'll make their own minds up. But they might look at it and say, well, surely the law is there for a reason, to protect consumers and businesses.
And I agree with you, and it should be. And we have been very outspoken, often advocates of a regulatory environment that protects the consumer. What I'm not asking for is for a regulation that serves our purpose to the detriment of the consumer. It should be proportional. It should reflect the needs that consumers have. They should be well informed. We have no intent to develop nicotine addiction, so we don't sell to anybody who doesn't smoke, nor to under 18s. We don't promote in that way. And every customer who buys and uses an e-cigarette should have enough information to make a judged decision on what this product is, how they should use it, and determine whether they would wish to use it, and make sure that the quality is of a standard which is acceptable and protects customers from potential ingredients and product deficiencies that could cause them harm.
So you're not fighting regulation?
Not at all.
Of e-cigarettes? You're probably requesting it in a certain way, aren't
Absolutely. You? Sensible, balanced regulation is proportionate and gives this sector the justified opportunity it needs to have to give people a realistic option other than conventional cigarettes. 2 million people have made that decision themselves. Intelligent people who've made their own decision based upon the knowledge they've acquired.
Just before we go on to the actual court case, when I said there are certain quarters of people who still think e-cigarettes aren't good for you, other things, products are coming in from other parts of the world as well. How do you get rid of that kind of thing? How do you say to yourself, well, how can we prove that? Where is the proof that there's no problem?
Well, the issue of no problem, if you talk about the sector as a totality, then there are problems. There are imports and products which are not acceptable, which the regulatory environment that currently exists could do away with if they so wanted to impose it. So I think it's a fallacy to suggest that there is no ability for the government or the regulators to affect the necessary controls, because there is. There is enough control within consumer regulation to suitably regulate if they wished against their current remit, but they have not chosen to. And they've used this enormous hammer to crack a very small and fragile nut and potentially disturb an industry that has transformed many, many people's lives in Lancashire. Thousands of people in Blackburn who now vape, who don't smoke, who are very powerful advocates, not because we've marketed to them, because they've made their own decision based upon their own personal experiences. That's much more powerful than anything I could convey.
Fraser, just finally, when is the case going to be heard at court?
Well, it's going to be heard, the second hearing will be in October. We're very confident that that October hearing will allow us to go to the European Court and make our case sometime in 2015.
OK, many thanks for joining us on the programme. Fraser Cropper with us there on that issue of the European courts, of course, from Totally Wicked, the Managing Director of the company. It's 12 minutes past 5.
Gary Hickson
on BBC Radio Lancashire.